Well, hello. Today's random phrase generated is keep your eyes peeled. Something I definitely need to do while driving, which means to be attentive to something or to pay close attention to something. I know this is supposed to help me. These random phrase or random words generated every day is supposed to help me in ameliorating my communication and remove what distractions there are from people getting off track from the message, whatever that message is. I bring this up because I'm eating right now. And eating is kind of it's like an intentional thing that puts a distraction into the message or into the communication, but I kind of feel like it actually adds an element of, this is just a normal dude talking. He'd probably tell a story while eating. So let's just add it to it. And no, I'm not using me eating as a way to keep from actually talking about keeping your eyes peeled. Although, ironically enough, I am eating carrots right now, which help my eyes to keep them open and peeled. But more going towards the definition. Keeping your attention on something or staying focused upon something. I think this is incredibly important when it comes to innovating. And let me explain why. There are many different ways to create. Any kind of expressed manifest expression that someone does, you could say is an act of creation. It is a reflection in one way, shape, or form of the individual who has manifested it or expressed it. And you could say that all art falls into this first level, this first category of expressed manifestation. But it necessarily doesn't have an element of utility to it. It doesn't solve an actual problem per se, right? And then you'd say you could go to the next level of expressed manifestation, which is inventing. And you can go to the United States Post Patent and Trade Office and find millions and millions and millions of patents for inventions, products, or tools or processes that serve some kind of utility. They have a purpose and they provide value. But there's oftentimes two things that get in the way of those inventions that actually ever prevent it from actually making it to market and actually making a difference. One is the category of people that need a solution that will bring enough value for them to pay for it is oftentimes very, very, very small. And so although the invention has utility, and you could say is a second level form of expressed manifestation, it doesn't mean that there is enough value for enough people to use it or want to pay for it to have it be brought to market. The other thing is that sometimes some products are absolutely genius. Some inventions are groundbreaking. They could change the whole world, and they could have incredible amount of impact and value to people of which people would be willing and happily pay to have it be brought to market. And the second problem that happens with these inventions that just remain at the patent office is that they either they run into external forces that prevent the product from ever reaching its full potential. So you could say that maybe someone comes up with this groundbreaking new way to sublimate and channel energy through some new form or some new machine or new engine. And it never gets brought to market because the oil tycoons or big business doesn't want this to destroy their business. And so, the inventor disappears, or it never gets into market for some strange reason, or they get bought out, and then the invention remains at the patent level, but it never actually makes it to market. Or the people just are awful at marketing and bringing it to market. And so those are the two reasons. I would say a third level of expressed manifestation is innovation, which is bringing something new or novel to the world, which is, you could say, the first level of express manifestation or art. Something unique and novel has been brought forth into a new dimension. It serves purpose and has utility, but also there is great demand for it, and people are willing to pay for that solution to be had. And this one oftentimes runs into the second problem that the inventions run into at the patent office, right? Is they have a difficulty time actually bringing it to market, marketing it, promoting it, scaling it, launching it, or they run into big business kind of wanting to squash the idea in hopes of maintaining their competitive edge. Okay, so keeping your eyes peeled. What have I found when it comes to keeping my eyes peeled when it comes to innovating, right? Third level, expressed manifestation. I have found that there's this niche when it comes to research. It's called ethnographic research, which, imagine that, you live in a first world country and you go off into Africa and you go and live with an indigenous tribe, and everything about this tribe is foreign and alien to your way of living. The things they eat, the way they sleep, the way they communicate, what they find as fun, how they spend their entire day, the social weird dynamics and cliques that happen between members of the tribe, all of that different stuff. And what ethnographic research states is that you go into this tribe, you go into this scenario with the intent to just observe something in its natural habitat. So if we were to take this tribe, for instance, ethnographic research would say that you go in and you spend a month with the tribe and you do nothing to change their way of living. You just observe how they eat, what they talk about, what they do all day, what they fight over, what problems are keeping them up at night, how they go about solving problems. Like I said, the social dynamics that go in between maybe the leaders and the followers or the different people. And what you do is, after a month of this ethnographic research, you should have a list of that's kind of interesting. They do this. Observations, a list of them. They do this interesting. They do that interesting. They do this different. They do this different. They do this different. And when you take that kind of malleable, I am just receptive, willing to just kind of soak all of this in and be like, well, that's interesting. Okay. And take note of it. And you do it with the intent to find out what are the common problems or challenges that the tribe runs into, just based on your ethnographic research, keeping your eyes peeled. You'll be able to see there's a lot of fights between husbands and wives and children, and they're always seeming to get really, really stressed out when it comes to the end of the month because of a shortage in food. And basically you could take all of this information and realize but if they just had an easy to access water source, 90% of the fights would go away. And they wouldn't be so worried about finding food. And this one solution that I basically gained through ethnographic research of realizing what are all the common problems that they're just dealing with in general is not only, you could say, a unique innovation, right? An idea, but it is, if you go about going okay, how could we bring a water source to this tribe in a sustainable manner such that it's not reliant, or they don't become dependent upon some external force to always be providing them water? What if there's a way to educate them on how to tap into the local aqueduct underground, or we could pipe in water from the ocean and filter it automatically, and it would just require them to go dig it in a well or something like that. But coming up with this, what you could say, ideas for solving this one problem that actually solves a bunch of problems at the same time, thanks to doing ethnographic research, you can come up with some pretty unique, novel ideas because you're living in like what I would call a liminal space in problem solving. A liminal space in problem solving. And then what ends up happening is if you can validate it and you can come up with a solution, or a variety of solutions that kind of all work together into creating an innovative process. And then you can go about incorporating it, bringing it, expressing it, manifest expression or expressed manifestation. You can actually bring it to that market. And that one solution solves a bunch of different problems at the same time. It was because you kept your eyes peeled in regards to ethnographic research around this demographic. And I look at that as like the most brilliant and most ingenious way to innovate is not to rely on you as I'm a genius, therefore I know how to come up with stuff. And there are exceptions to that, like Edison, like Einstein, who are just freak of natures, and they're just constantly inventing. And it has to do, honestly, with their computing. They just are able to they are brilliant. And because of their brilliance, and I gotta get it out, I gotta get this out of me, it ends up them discovering, oftentimes by accident, a lot of different industries that kind of run our world today. But for the most part, it's the ethnographic research and keeping your eyes peeled to spotting patterns in behavior by just simply observing, and then letting that simmer and sit and going like, how could we go about solving all of these problems at the same time? It's data driven at this point because it's ethnographic research. I watched people do this thing over and over and over again, and I saw that this was a common problem that they were dealing with over and over and over again. And what ends up happening is what's so beautiful. And when I say ingenious, I genuinely mean it. Like, it's genuine, it's authentic, because you and I could go to the same tribe in Africa. We could do the same ethnographic research. We could come up with the same data points as to what common problems are found within this tribe. And because of my unique perspective on the world, because of what interests me, what I'm passionate about, what things I'm just naturally thinking about throughout the day, I could come back to the drawing table the next day and you and I would have completely different ideas, potentially completely different innovations on how to solve the same set of problems. And it came by first recognizing that having your eyes peeled is what's going to allow the world to kind of expose and reveal itself to you in such a way where you can then think and ideate, innovate, and create a solution that's maybe simple, but also elegant because it solves multiple problems at the same time with just one thing. And I look back on all of the products that I have invented and haphazardly kind of done this same process. When I went to go invent the universal lens cap, the universal lens hood, the Cosmo cap, the universal camera strap, my water bear screen cleaners, Jiffies, and all of the products moving forward in the future, it's because I took this ethnographic approach towards keeping my eyes peeled in wanting to see like what is an antiquated product or service that has been around for decades that people are using on a frequent, if not daily basis, and what is that? Once I have found whatever that antiquated product or service is, I then go, okay, where could I find those people? Those that are using this antiquated product or service. And then if I can ask those people, hey, do you use this thing? If so, what's the number one pet peeve you have when using this? Oftentimes, people might not know what they want, right? The whole Henry Ford cliche of like, if I had asked people what they want, they just say I'd want faster horses, whatever. But people really do know what they don't want. And if you could ask them that question, what's the number one biggest problem or challenge or pet peeve you have when using insert antiquated product or service? You're going to get people quickly going like, oh, I hate this about it. And I have multiple examples or stories of when I ran into that problem that I hate. Now, if you ask thank you. Now, if you ask 5, 10 people that question, you're going to get very, very different answers. I love your purse.
Thank you.
Yeah. But if you ask 2,000 people that same set of question that is using that same antiquated product or service, you're going to be able to, through ethnographic research, recognize patterns. Oh, wow. 20% of the problems keep showing up 80% of the time. All these people seem to have the exact same problem. And you'll find that there may be 3, 4, 5 problems around an antiquated product or service that is very common. It's a problem everyone deals with when using this antiquated product or service. And so I didn't realize that this was going to turn into a 16-minute ordeal by keeping your eyes peeled. But I'm really glad that I'm talking about this because I have an opportunity to be able to discuss one of the processes I use in innovating and in inventing. And it's something I feel anyone can do. It's a set of four questions. And it starts like this. First, figure out a product that's been around for decades. Or a service that's been around for decades and it's antiquated in the sense that there has been no innovation or iteration upon that product or service for quite some time. Okay? So we'll use the lens cap, for example, right? Traditional lens caps are the clip-on lens caps, right? You would put on your camera. I don't know when they were invented, but they've been around for at least 50 years and there's been really no innovation on that. So you find an antiquated product or service. Then you find people who use that product, that antiquated product or service, on a frequent basis, ideally a daily basis. And so that's very easy for this product. It's people that are photographers, people that own camera lenses. And then it's your job to go find those people and then to contact them directly, personally, and ask them these 4 set of questions in this sequence. Hey, I know this is coming out of nowhere, but do you use insert antiquated product or service? And if so, what is the number one challenge or problem or pet peeve that you have when using this product or service? So let's use the lens cap as the example. Hey, Camille, I see that you have your photography business. I know this is coming out of nowhere, but do you have camera lenses? And do you use those lens caps? If you do, what's the number one pet peeve you have when using the lens caps? And Camille's going to answer back and she's going to say, oh my gosh, I hate that they are so easily fall off and I lose them all the time. If you're a photographer, you probably have this problem. Oh, it's it only has one size, only fits one size of my lenses. I've got some that are 67 millimeters, others are 72, some are 77, some are 84. It's bothersome because I can't just buy one lens cap and have it work for all of my lenses. So it's not universal. This might be a problem that you're also dealing with as a photographer. I don't feel like it provides me a ton of protection. My lenses are my babies. They're they can be up to $1,000, $2,000 a piece, and it has this dinky little plastic cap that protects the glass. And I just feel worried about it. You might have that problem as well. So I lose it all the time. Oh, and I'm also oftentimes shooting in all these different environments, outside in the sand, up in the mountains, next to water. And I feel like when I'm swinging my camera body around, and I've got one strapped around my side and I'm using one at hand, I'm just always nervous that it's gonna bump into something or it's gonna break something. Okay? So you get these answers, right? So that's the first question. Do you use this antiquated product or service? And if so, what is the common pet peeve or the number one challenge you have when using it? The second question is, you first follow up with and you empathize. You use ethnographic research and you go, oh, I know where you're coming from. And you restate what they have said in your own terms, but to help them understand that like you know what they're talking about. So you say like, oh yeah, like so you hate the fact that lens caps only fit one size lens, right? Okay, if I could give you a magic wand, and this is the second question, if I could give you a magic wand where you could add, take away, or change something about them, what would it be? And it could be anything. That would make it 100 times better. And this is really just like leaving it open for whatever people can think of. Okay? And these are some of the most brilliant ideas have come from asking people these questions. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. That's genius, right? So that's the second question. The third question is, okay, this is a price comparison question. So the price comparison question asks, okay, lens caps are currently selling for $10 right now. If I were to solve that number one pet peeve, and you name it, if I were to solve that number one pet peeve and add a couple of other features to it, how much would you be willing to pay for that solution or for that kind of lens cap? And then you say the price in the question. Regular lens caps are going for like $10 right now. And then people are going to respond. If it could solve that problem, I'd pay $15 for it. I'd pay $30 for it. Because I'm thinking, man, if I have to buy 3 different lens caps, they're $10 each, and I only need to buy one, and now it works on all of my different lenses, I'll just take this universal lens cap. I'll take this lens cap that fits all these different sizes, and I'll just put it on the one that I'm not using, and then, when I am using it, I'll switch it. So yeah, $30, right? And then the fourth question is, okay, thank you so much for your time. Now, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and maybe come up with some designs and try to put what you have told me into practice. But in the meantime, do you know of anyone who also uses this antiquated product or service that I could ask these same set of questions for? I'm really trying to figure out what is the number one thing about this product. And oftentimes, people have like-minded friends. And so they say, yeah, Camille says, yes, oh yeah, like Jessica, she's this other photographer of mine. She has these same kind of problems. Here, I'll contact her for you. Or I'll send you her contact info. Or now I have a lead to then go out to Jessica and say, hey Jessica, Camille just referred me to you. I know this is coming out of nowhere, and I repeat the whole process all over again. And the goal is to ask enough people this sequence of 4 questions where you're able to start spotting patterns in the challenges, in the things that they would change about it, and then also in what the pricing would be that they would pay for to have this solution created. So I did this with the lens cap. I did this with the lens hood. The lens hood's such a funner example, but I'm going to stick to the lens cap for shortened sake. I asked this question, and I did a bunch of deep dive market analysis on another product. And so I kind of want to use the lens cap, but the lens cap in itself is using a different form of deep dive market research. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now use the example of the lens hood, because this is where I really only used this process in innovating and creating this product. So I went through these questions, and the common challenges that people were dealing with when it came to lens hoods were similar to the lens cap. One size doesn't fit all different lenses. I hate how it's bulky and it takes up tons of space in my bag. I can't tweak the dials or the adjustments. The adjustment rings or the dials on my lens when it is reverse mounted on my camera lens. It's hard to put on. It's hard to install correctly, but it's easy to fall off and I lose it. And oftentimes it doesn't do a really great job at actually blocking out glare and glare. And so I told people that common lens hoods were going anywhere from like $15 to $20, and they said that they would be willing to pay, the average was around $48. People were willing to pay $48 for a solution that could solve these common challenges. Now again, I asked like 2,000 photographers individually these 4 sequence of questions. And I was able to, with that amount of data, spot the patterns. Oh, people think that they're bulky and they take up tons of space in their bag. One size, they hate that only one size fits one size lens. Oh, I don't have access to the adjustments and the dials and the rings on the back of my lens when I have it reverse mounted. It doesn't really work great when it comes to, actual sun flares and glares and stuff. And so I use this process to help me go, okay, antiquated product is traditional lens hoods. These are the common challenges, and people are willing to pay almost $50 to have a solution created. All right, let's go to the drawing board. And because I was already into silicone, thanks to the lens cap, and I was into malleability and universality, and also I was in the camera industry, I ideated and came up with the solution that is now the universal lens hood, a collapsible, stretchy universal lens cap, universal lens hood that you can push back and still adjust all the dials even when it's reverse mounted. You stretch it over the lens once, and then you can just pull it off simply. You can adjust the amount of sun glare that it provides. You can take a camera lens with my lens hood on it, and you can stick it up against a window, and it removes reflections and glares when shooting through windows. So it's great for skyscrapers. It's great for shooting inside or outside of cars. It's great for shooting into fish tanks. A lot of people use it for fish tanks, I guess, because you can just mold it, and move it around. And it's universal. It fits all these different sized camera lenses. And it was because I kept my eyes peeled. I knew I was going to bring it back. My eyes peeled on ethnographic research, finding a group of people that use an antiquated product or service on a frequent, if not daily basis, and then contacting them directly and asking them this set of 4 questions, this sequence of 4 questions, collecting all of their information, and then ideating off of that. The 2 other things that are really great by going through this process is, 1, you get to develop a relationship and a connection with so many people. I love that. I love that about innovating, is that it becomes a collaboration of sorts. It's co-innovating together. I'm tapping into the expertise and the experiences of everyone else, ethnographic research, to really determine what needs to be solved and then trying to come up with an elegant solution for those problems. The other reason, though, is that there are unique ways of talking about the problem that I wouldn't have come up with, but become common phrases, almost like a common vernacular, a common language that the group uses in describing this problem. So a great example is this, it's bulky and takes up tons of space in my bag. You know how many photographers said that exact same line? It's bulky and it takes up tons of space in my bag. I think there was like several hundred people that mentioned that in the 2,000 people I asked. It's bulky and it takes up tons of space in my bag. So what does it do? It creates marketing language that I can use later. If I didn't reach out to you, but I had launched this lens cap, this lens hood, when I go to talk to you and just like, do you hate that your lens hoods that are bulky and they take up tons of space in your bag? And if you're a photographer who uses lens hoods and you have this problem, you're like, yes, that's exactly the problem I have. And a quote that I think was from Paul Graham, he said, if you can understand the customer's problem better than they can themselves, they'll automatically believe that you have the solution. And that came from connecting individually with so many different people that I built out a connection. I started to learn a vernacular, their own subset of language around talking about these problems. And then the third thing is people love being a part of the journey. People love it. I love it. I love trying to bring people into the fold and help and like pull back the curtains and show them, this is what I'm developing, this is what I'm designing. I'm on the 6th iteration, and the last 5 were horrible. It broke here, the silicone was too thick. I thought the sizing of the dimension was good enough, but it wasn't. It didn't work in this temperature. and showing all of the ugly when it comes to developing the products, but then using that as a pivotal moment to go, hey, do any of you have solutions on maybe how to help me in making this better? And get the community involved in helping you develop something far greater than what you could have developed on your own. So the random phrase for today is keep your eyes peeled. And I feel that is so important, so pivotal when it comes to genuine innovation. Tier 3 expressed manifestation. And if you can do it through ethnographic research, finding an antiquated product or service that's been around for decades, finding people that use that product on a frequent, if not daily basis, contacting them one-on-one, individually, directly, asking them that sequence of 4 questions. What's the number one pet peeve? If I gave you a magical wand, what would you add, take away, or change? This is the current price for this product. How much would you be willing to pay above that if I could solve these problems and add those extra things? And do you know of anyone else that uses that same product or service that I could ask these same questions to? You end up living in this world of exploration and tinkering and excitement, because it's all being driven by data, but in such an organic and real and genuine way, without being so rigid that it restricts you from creating and being yourself and adding your own perspective and unique style and flair and expertise and taste and viewpoint upon innovating and creating something. I feel it is genuinely the best of both worlds, and it oftentimes results in the most elegant, innovative solutions out there. All the while helping the community tell you what is the vernacular and the language around those problems that can resonate and relate with other people that maybe use that same antiquated product or service, but that you haven't spoken to. So that when come launch or marketing or promoting the product, you know how to talk their talk, speak their language, and at the same time, you connect with others. And you get to all work together in creating something that is, in my opinion, far greater, far more beautiful, far more innovative than having iterated and done it yourself. So that is the longest random phrase generator that I've done so far, but keep your eyes peeled.